From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
It scares me to the point to where I just don't want my grandkids to be around it.
A grandmother's real fear in the very place she calls home, the violence that's all around her, her story, and her hope in moments.
It's my right, and I'm disappointed that somebody's trying to take it away.
A debate over hunting rules in Hancock County is prompting potential change. What is being discussed just ahead? And we continue our spotlight on the race for governor in Indiana tonight. Our conversation with Democratic candidate Dr. Woody Myers.
Find your coat. Temperatures fall after tomorrow. We'll talk about tumbling temps and some frost.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on the news at 6 on WRTV. I'm Amanda Starantino. WRTV is taking a close look at how violence is impacting real people. Tonight, WRTV's Troy Washington spoke with a resident of a Northeast Side apartment complex where violence is becoming all too common. That resident shares her reason for sticking around despite flying bullets and fights.
I could say this is like one of the third worst place I lived at. Besides 42nd and Post, I put that number one.
And Nikki Lanier says she's only called Rising Star Apartments on Shaitland Avenue on the Northeast Side home for a year now, but already she's ready to go if things don't get better soon.
Lanier says she's used to shootouts and violence, but she wants to feel safe in her home, and right now that's just not her reality.
Gunshots and just fights. Everybody want to fight, a lot of fights, arguments. Sometimes they be right out here. My son said he just heard something the other night. I was in my room asleep, so I didn't hear it 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
She wishes her family didn't have to sleep through gunshots just to keep a roof over their heads.
It'd be a pretty cool place if they would just get it together and let it be an affordable place for people.
For now, she's staying put here because it is affordable, but she's optimistic about the changes the 2020 Community-Based Violence Prevention Partnership grant could bring, since the community action of Greater Indianapolis is stepping in to provide programs to curb violence.
I believe improvements can be made if they really put their heart and soul into it, if they really want to improve it for us.
She tells us that right now she doesn't even feel comfortable letting her 11 grandchildren play outside when they visit her.
It scares me to the point to where I just don't want my grandkids to be around it.
And to top it all off, she says it's not the residents who live here who are causing all of the problems.
People inside the apartments is cool. We just got to keep trouble out.
She's hopeful that the community action of Greater Indianapolis will come in and turn her neighborhood around. Working for you on the Northeast Side, Troy Washington, WRTV.
This year, the city of Indianapolis has seen a surge in deadly violence. IMPD is investigating 7 homicides from the past weekend alone. The number of intentional homicides in Indianapolis is already at an all-time high, and it's only October. IMPD reports 187 total homicides, with 160 of them being intentional homicides. So today, Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett, IMPD Chief Randall Taylor, and other city leaders addressed this urgent problem.
This year, while most metrics of crime continue to decline, homicides have skyrocketed. That trend is national. No major American city is immune from these types of statistics. But the disastrous effects are in the streets and homes in our community. And that's what I'm responsible for. This community.
Mayor Hogsett says that's why last night the City County Council passed investments to reduce violent crime. He specifically mentioned giving more funding in 2021 to group violence intervention. That brings together law enforcement, service providers, and members of the community to confront those at highest risk of committing or falling victim to violent crime. It is supposed to help stop the violence before it even begins. And Hogsett mentioned this program has been hampered this year due to the pandemic, but he says next year the city will increase funding for group violence intervention by more than $100,000. And Mayor Hogsett mentioned that the increasing number of homicides is not just a problem in Indianapolis, but nationwide. WRTV did some digging and found the mayor is right. Digital reporter Matthew McKinney found Midwest cities like St. Louis, Cincinnati, and Chicago are also experiencing similar jumps in homicide numbers, according to national crime analyst Jeff Asher. And it's not just a problem in the Midwest either. Denver, Boston, New Orleans, Atlanta, and New York have seen drastic increases as well. You can read more about these findings and what it reveals about the crime trend in Indianapolis right now on WRTV.com. Well, it's nothing but sunshine tonight across central Indiana after we finally received some rain yesterday. We still need more rain, but at least we have a beautiful night ahead of us. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is here and tracking the rest of the night and into your Wednesday morning. Hey, Kev.
And thanks, Amanda. Yeah, it's all sunshine today. We had rain yesterday. I don't want to mislead you. This is not yesterday's rainfall. This is the rainfall for the last 56 days in Indianapolis. How about that? That's how dry we are. We had 0.06 of an inch officially yesterday, but that's your less than 0.2 over nearly 60 days as our record dry stretch continues. No clouds, no rain. You can see over Monroe County some good-looking trees on the campus of Bloomington and IU. Windy and warm tomorrow, that's a headline. Our chance for showers returns Thursday, and then it's about much colder temperatures Friday and Saturday. Across the region now, temperatures they're in the upper 60s. The warmth will come from the southwest. We'll talk about how strong the wind, how cold some of the temperatures will be as well, coming up.
As hunting season begins, some people in Hancock County are gearing up and want to test out their scopes and equipment on their property. But an old ordinance is bringing into question the legality of doing so. WRTV's Stephanie Wade explains what is being considered by county commissioners and how people feel about it.
Well, we have behind us what I thought was a responsible gun owner's backstop.
The dirt is bought, and now Neil Anderson wants to practice his shot.
A lot of time and money was put into bringing all this dirt and setting it up to properly stop a firearm from going anywhere else in a dangerous manner.
As hunting season begins, Anderson got all this dirt to invest in a proper backstop for recreational shooting with his grandchildren.
Sighting in scopes, target practicing, setting up targets and shooting at them.
But as the current Hancock County ordinance stands, people cannot legally shoot guns in their backyards without special approval from the county's Board of Zoning Appeals, and must be 300 feet from another person's home.
I've lived out here for almost 30 years now, and never knew that law was on the book.
Problem is, not many people knew about it. Officials admitting the ordinance wasn't often enforced.
This has always been there, kind of. It's just something that's came up because of this, dispute between the two neighbors here recently.
After months of people pushing to relax the county's rules, an amendment stood before the Planning Commission to do away with the special variance approval. But planning authorities decided to keep the ordinance as is.
Why is this ordinance in place? And if you got the commissioners are already saying they don't enforce it, well, then let's get rid of the rule so that we don't have this issue.
Usually we don't have to go out until somebody complains. I mean, that's kind of what we do.
Sheriff Brad Burkhart tells me all law enforcement can do is, if they receive a call, make sure someone is shooting 300 feet from a neighbor's home. But the zoning requirements fall under the Board of Zoning Appeals. Moving forward, he just urges everyone to be safe and respectful of their neighbors.
That's all I ask, I suppose, is, as we do things properly, we do it safely.
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
The Hancock County Commission still have the final vote, though the Planning Commission recommended not changing the ordinance. Commissions still have 90 days to change it if they want. COVID-19 numbers are still extremely high in Indiana. Today, the State Department of Health reports 27 additional deaths. Since the pandemic began, 3,595 Hoosiers have died with the coronavirus. The state also confirms 1,569 additional cases of the coronavirus. In total, 138,104 people in Indiana have been diagnosed with COVID-19 since March. And with the rise in COVID-19 cases in Indiana, local experts say looking at the ages of those infected can help predict where new hotspots may be. The CDC is now reporting that a spike in cases among young people could be a good predictor that an area will become a hotspot. Experts at IUPUI's Fairbanks School of Public Health have been working with the state to collect data and analyze the spread of COVID-19. They say they have found that 40% of the people that were infected with COVID had no signs or symptoms, and often those who are asymptomatic are young and otherwise healthy, which is also a group that is known to congregate close together during the pandemic.
These spikes, there's nothing magical about this. I mean, I could predict this, in my sleep, if you will. When we get people together, less than 6 feet apart, not wearing face masks, and spending prolonged periods of time together, we're going to see cases. This is still an active pandemic.
Experts say regardless of your age, everyone still needs to take the pandemic seriously. Wear a mask when you are in public and around others. Also continue to practice social distancing. Hiring Hoosiers tonight, we are learning about a free program for Marion County residents who have been impacted by COVID-19 in some way. Prepare for careers in high-demand industries. The group Washington Township Adult Education is offering courses that provide training for a wide range of positions. People who do not have a high school diploma can take the high school equivalency test for free. Adult basic education classes are also offered for free to help prepare for the test. If you want to enroll or learn more, go to indyadulted.com. A newborn infant is safe after being surrendered at a safe haven baby box last week on the southwest side. Just over 2 years ago, WRTV was there when a safe haven baby box was installed and dedicated at Fire Station 74 in Decatur Township. That's where the newborn was surrendered last week.
This newborn was left with a note from the parent and a message thanking the fire station for having a safe haven baby box. This mother, without a doubt, loved this child.
This marks the second child placed in the baby box outside of Station 74 in Decatur Township. Baby boxes are safe incubators that have alarm systems, so 911 is notified as soon as a baby is placed inside. The baby boxes also have heating and cooling features to keep the baby safe. A shocking find beneath the water of Geist Reservoir in Fishers. The Fishers Police Department says a local fisherman recently notified officers of a possible vehicle in Geist Reservoir by the Fall Creek Bridge, and yesterday the Fishers Police dive team found a 1987 Chevy Camaro that had been reported stolen in July of 1988. So that Camaro had been under the water undetected for 32 years. Investigators say they found the vehicle upside down in several feet of silt. Police say the owner is now deceased and was never able to find out what happened to their car. Democracy 2020, we continue our deep dive into the governor's race here in Indiana. Next, our Rafael Sanchez goes one-on-one with Democratic candidate Dr. Woody Myers.
All eyes on the thermometer as we move into what will be a big pattern change coming up.
Democracy 2020 coverage digging deeper into the race for governor here in Indiana. Our Rafael Sanchez reports on the Democrats seeking to unseat Republican incumbent Eric Holcomb.
Dr. Woody Myers was thrusted into the national spotlight during the hysteria surrounding Ryan White. The Howard County teen was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS after a blood transfusion. He died in 1990. Myers, as the state's health commissioner, is credited for advocating science, calming fears, and educating people about the seriousness of HIV/AIDS. Now Myers is focused on another major health concern, the pandemic, which he believes needs a new approach.
Raphael, we don't have a mask mandate, we have a mask suggestion because there's no teeth behind it.
Now, the Attorney General wrote an opinion on the issue of the mask mandate saying that really you couldn't do that because you would need the legislature to return to enforce it. I mean, you could call for a mandate, but you couldn't enforce a mandate because legally it was not constitutional. Do you disagree with Attorney General Hill?
Not only do I disagree with that opinion, other attorneys that are of stature in the profession disagree with it. I'm not an attorney, but I know that during a public health emergency, the governor can take unprecedented action to protect the population. And that action would include a mask mandate in my when I become governor, and we're going to make sure that that if there is a court challenge to it, we'll defend it and we'll win.
Outside the State House, we met on Robert Orr Plaza, a fitting sight since he served as the state's top health leader under Republican Governor Orr. Now Myers wants to become the state's 52nd governor, and he has a to-do list for a legislature that must pass a budget in 2021.
So we're going to comb through, we're going to find things that we don't need to spend money on today, or we can push the pause button and wait so that we can go to the priorities. And the priorities are, of course, K through 12 education. Our teachers absolutely, positively must get more resources. We have to let them do their jobs and not waste a lot of money on statewide testing programs that are ineffective. In addition to that, we've got to pay much more attention to distributing the testing resources for COVID-19 appropriately through the state, making sure that the results are coming back in a timely way and doing far more testing.
If the grandson of Joseph and Nellie Tyler gets elected, he would become the first African-American governor in state history.
The voters need to replace the coach and get a new playbook, and that's what I'm proposing. A new coach, a new assistant coach, and a new playbook for Indiana, because we're not where we need to be in the standings as a state.
Our complete interview is posted right now on our website, WRTV.com. Tomorrow we will hear from Libertarian candidate Donald Rainwater. Yesterday we heard from the incumbent Republican Eric Holcomb. This is all part of our Democracy 2020 coverage. And we have much more info on all three candidates for governor up right now on our website. We call it our WRTV election guide. You can find it at WRTV.com/election2020. Today marks a week since early voting began in Indiana, and so far tens of thousands of Hoosiers have cast their ballots. And these are numbers from the Secretary of State's office compiled by the U.S. Election Project. As of Monday, more than 257,000 absentee ballots have already been returned by Indiana voters. More than 110,000 Hoosiers have voted early in person. That total number of votes cast so far is equal to more than 13% of the final presidential vote in Indiana in 2016, and we are still 3 weeks from Election Day. And if you can't vote in person and plan to take part in absentee voting by mail, you need to file an application for an absentee ballot immediately. October 22nd is the deadline to turn in your application for a ballot. Then, when you get your absentee ballot, you must fill it out and send it back in. The deadline to get that completed ballot to your county election office is now noon on Election Day, November 3rd.
October 13th. What a beautiful day today in central Indiana. We take you to southern portions of the viewing area, down in the hills of Brown County, as you get a treetop view of some of the color that is offered this fall. Lots of leaves on the ground, but there's still lots of vibrant maple trees, oak trees, everything looking pretty good across central Indiana and the northern portion of the state. Follow the colors here. Green representing somewhat cooler temperatures, and the oranges and yellows a little warmer. 71 in Bloomington, 69 in Bedford, Sullivan and Terre Haute also in the 70s. Temperatures tonight will stay in the 40s. It'll be comfortable, let's put it that way. You can choose another adjective if you'd like. Clear sky, not as windy. 47 for the overnight low. Tracking the temperatures. Tomorrow morning, we just showed you at 47. Look at Thursday morning, even warmer, but that is the beginning of the end, because we'll call Thursday Transition Thursday to much colder air Friday and Saturday. And to give you a more extensive look at low temperatures for Saturday morning, there's a real possibility, especially north and west of Indy, spots will reach the freezing mark or drop a little below, giving us a freeze and frost to start the weekend. Temperature trend next 3 days. We're way up tomorrow. That's not just the warmest temperature for the rest of the work week. It's by far the warmest temperature within the 7-day planner, as most of next week will struggle to around 60 degrees. 76 tomorrow, showers possible Thursday, and then cooler as we get to Friday. There's the strong wind responsible for drawing in the warmer temperatures tomorrow. Gusts well over 30 miles per hour through the afternoon hours. That'll take the temperature in Indy to at least 75. I think there'll be spots warmer than that, especially south and west, upper 70s, anywhere along the Wabash River, and then Bedford, Seymour, Bloomington, Terre Haute, eastern Indiana, mid-70s for Richmond in Wayne County. Thursday temperatures with showers do not really warm up much. We'll start in the 50s or lower 60s. In other words, a morning high temperature. Then we'll sit generally in the 50s the rest of the day. As you look at Friday, temperature 56, that's the high. Sunshine, a frosty start. Maybe a freeze in outlying spots on Saturday morning. Temperatures early next week, 64 Monday or Sunday. Then we're back into the upper 50s, as you can see, with a chance for rain early next week. We'll be back with more news at 6 right after this.
Well, it's the end of an era. A staple of Broad Ripple for nearly 7 decades will soon close its doors. Kroger has announced plans to close its Broad Ripple store sometime in the next month. The Broad Ripple Kroger store originally opened 66 years ago in 1954. According to a press release from Kroger, the decision to close the Broad Ripple location, quote, follows extensive analysis of its financial performance. In spite of our associates' best efforts, the store has not operated profitably for several years, and research indicates a turnaround is not realistic. Well, the store currently employs nearly 40 associates, and they will be offered the opportunity to transfer to other Indianapolis Kroger stores, including 2 nearby locations, Nora Kroger and Glendale Kroger, which are just a few miles away. Kevin?
I've got 3 descriptive words for tomorrow: dry, warm, and windy. Temperature reaches 76 with wind gusts over 30 miles per hour. Lots of sunshine in there too, Amanda. Then we'll see some showers potentially Thursday as we cool back down.
Thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. World News Tonight with David Muir is next, and then join us for the news at 7.